Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Sunday. It's a very beautiful Sunday down here in Abuja. The weather is quite cool. It looks like it's going to rain anytime soon. I know this is not the right time for me to come up online for on finding help with special needs, but unfortunately, something came up and I will not be available by 4 o'clock. So I decided to come on live earlier. So don't worry, you still get to watch it on my YouTube video if you are not able to catch up with me by now, right now, because just about 1:30. I know a lot of people will still be on their way back from church or trying to have lunch or something, but I just felt it would be good for me to do this, knowing that I won't be around by 4. I would have done a video, but then I just felt to come on live, you might see one or two people that might join up. And just in case you're unable to catch up, I know it's a busy Sunday afternoon for everyone. Please go to my YouTube page and make sure you catch up on what I have to say today. So last week, like I always do, I recap what I did, what I spoke about last week, and then I talk about what I have to speak about today. Last week we talked about empathy versus sympathy, and we said when it comes to children or individuals with special needs, it's always good for us to remember that they do not appreciate our sympathy. And we always said about sympathy was like, you feel so sorry for them because of the condition they find themselves in. And individuals with special needs and disability have been able to communicate to those who love to listen that they are not a sorry case. It just they're who they are and they're just uniquely different. So we need to appreciate them for who they are. All they ask is our empathy, which means that we need to understand what they're going through, put ourselves in their shoes, and be able to walk them through what they're going through and appreciate them for who they are. So that was what we talked about last week. This week, I chose the topic help. These numbers are jumping around in my head and it's giving me headache. I know it's a mouthful. So it's simply help. These numbers are jumping around in my head and it's giving me a headache. Nkem Deering Gifts on thank you for joining in. Um oh yeah, Autism Mama, thank you for joining in. Akutas, yeah, thank you for joining in. So we're talking about the topic that I've titled help. These numbers are jumping in my head and it's giving me a headache. And I'm just going to let the cat out of the bag because it seems like it's a lot of words I'm trying to explain. It simply means that dyslexia. So I'm talking about dyslexia today, and I'll be answering the question whether dyslexia gives a headache or not. And then I'll be talking about what dyslexia is. I won't go into the neurological aspects today. I'll be going into, you know why I'm laughing? Autism mama, I call you autism mama, autism mom. I loved your dance yesterday. I hope I'll be bold enough to do that one of these days. So on Finding Up with Specialists, maybe we'll invite you to come on live and show us some dancing steps to just, have a nice time. So I can't help but laugh about your video. That was really cool and that was so real. Thank you for keeping it so real. So back to Finding Help with Specialists with Lola Aneke. We're talking about dyslexia, and I want to talk about the fact that dyslexia does not give a headache. Probably because of the stress that is going through, where the individual with dyslexia is going through. That might be a source of the headache. But with dyslexia give a headache, research has not shown that. But the stress the individual is going through, having to put the letters together to form words, and then the words together to form sentences, and then from sentences to be able to read fluently and to be able to understand what meanings are, and then moving to comprehension and spelling and all of that could be the reason why these individuals might be having a headache. So what is dyslexia? Dyslexia is a language disability. So it simply means that I'll try and explain it oh, thank you, Nana. I was hoping to just buzz you because I know you're always joining in. But then I just got back from church and I needed to do this real quick before the time for my appointment. Yeah, good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. I greet you. I greet you once again. Thank you for always joining in. I love you all. I can see all the hearts popping in. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad we are all here to learn about issues relating to special needs. So it's yet another episode of Finding Out with Special Needs, and I am Lola Aneke. So again, the topic we're talking about today is help. These numbers are jumping around in my head and it's giving me a headache. And I've said earlier on that dyslexia does not give us headache. Dyslexia does not cause headache. Research has not shown that. But what I know is that because of the stress involved in decoding, encoding, spelling, word meaning, comprehension, it could be a form of stress to the individual who is dyslexic. So the individual living with dyslexia is, I hate to use that word, but I mean just English. Wherever the person living with dyslexia is who is referred to as dyslexic in English, but then I'll try my best to just use the word a person living with dyslexia. So that individual would experience headache or stress that relates to headache, and that's why you might think that the person with dyslexia is having a headache because of dyslexia. No, it's all the brain work involved in the person trying to do all the tasks involved in language. And so again, I say dyslexia is a language-based disability. And I said today, I'm not going to talk about the neurological aspect. I want to be very real. Remember, it's Finding Out with Special Needs. Everything simple, as simple as it can be, and then understanding what's going on with these individuals with dyslexia and the best way to provide solution. Now, dyslexia is a language-based learning disability. And learning disability is a broad word. So dyslexia is a specific learning disability, just like we have dysgraphia, dyscalculia. We also have visual processing disorder, auditory processing disorder. And so somebody was saying, could it be that the person, when a person wears glasses, could it be because of dyslexia? And I say it could. Mostly wearing glasses does not have to do with dyslexia. The person needs glasses because of the sight. The reversal of the letters and all of those is usually have to do with visual processing disorder. And then some of the words that people say wrongly could also be to the fact that the person is living with auditory processing disorder. But today we're talking about dyslexia. And I've said that dyslexia is a language-based disability. Now, when we say language-based, because of course, research has been done in developed countries, and mostly English is their first language. So if, for example, I'll use the US where I was trained, we have children we call ESL learners, English as second language learners. If such students are in my classroom, and probably they're from Mexico or from a non-English or a French or a non-English speaking country, and they're having issues with English language and they've never been educated or trained on English language, all the components of reading and English itself, it will be wrong for me to categorize them as students living with dyslexia. So because they've not had any form of training in English language. So, and I always like to bring it back home. So we have some cases like that up north here in Abuja, where we have students who have never been to school, and then they get to school, they're struggling because probably the primary language at home is their first language, which is usually Hausa, or even some Yoruba, some Igbo. And I say to parents, I say, let's give them a little more time and be sure that it's easy. It's actually what it is, or could it be because of the language barrier? These children have not learned to speak or to communicate in English. Yes, we have some families that all they speak in their homes is their native language, and I'm all for that too, because I'm very particular about your cultural heritage, and I wouldn't I am all for that. So I'm not against people speaking their native language to their children. So that just to clarify the difference between when we say a child is living with dyslexia and a child who has never had any form of formal training in English language, and we cannot assume that that child is living with dyslexia. Now, like I said earlier, dyslexia is a language-based disability, and it's basically English language. So when a child or an individual is having challenges in one or more areas of the 5 components of reading, which is phonics, phonemic awareness, vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. You can there's some assessment that will be done. Yeah, so we have some standardized assessment, we have some criterion reference assessment, and we have some non-reference assessment that could be done. Also some observation, because when you talk about evaluation could be formal, informal, when it comes with some tests, some observation with anecdotes. So there are different things that could be done holistically before you can certify that this person is dyslexic. Psychologists have the tools that they use. I always, because I schooled in America, I'm so used to the Woodcock-Johnson assessment tool that tests the language, that's the language, yeah, which is usually literacy. It tests numeracy and also check the cognitive ability of the child. That's where when we talk about cognition, memory, and processing and all of that is being checked to know what exactly is going on with the child. But basically, when we talk about dyslexia, we're talking about a challenge in either phonics, phonemic awareness, comprehension. I'm jumping it now. I wanted to see it accordingly. Let me start afresh again. So we have phonics, phonological awareness. We have phonics, phonological awareness, fluency. We have vocabulary, and we have comprehension. So I'm going to try and take them one after the other, because like I said, everything about finding up with special needs should be as easy as possible, such that even parents can actually identify what's going on with their child and provide solution. An ordinary teacher can see what's going on with the child and see what the best they can do, because in this part of the world, in Nigeria, it's quite it's not as easy as it is in developed countries to be able to get an assessment done almost immediately, or to find a very reliable standardized assessment. Reason being that most of the tools out there are usually foreign ones, so usually in the UK or the US products. It's almost the same, but sometimes the practicality of it, I mean, because of the cultural differences and some other issues, it may not be 100% correct. And some of these tools will actually tell you that this is not like 100% correct, apart from the standardized one. So the standardized one has been done for American terrain and the UK terrain. They've done all the research and it works for them. Someday we get there in Nigeria. So today we're not talking about also assessment. We're just talking about the basic things we should look out for when we see signs of dyslexia in a child. And I'm also going to be try to give you some examples in the different aspects. Now, when we talk about phonics, we're talking about the letter and the sound. So it's in special needs and in English, it's called grapheme and phonemes. So the grapheme is the letter. So letter A is the grapheme. A will be the phonemes, the phoneme of the word, of the letter, sorry. So B will be the grapheme, and the phoneme for B will be B. Thank you, Malam Ajabo. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. So when a child has issues with that, one needs to be very observant. So this, you could actually so I'll take it one after the other, and also give you proper solutions on how to help that child. Basic solution, basic ways to help the child as a parent or as a classroom teacher or anyone providing services for this child. So if the child has issue with the phonics, and usually this can be at any grade level. It could even be in it could be from preschool, it could be in elementary school, it could be in high school. We found these cases, if it's not easily identified, some students in secondary school also have issue with phonics. They don't know the sound of the letter. And one of the things that research has shown is that decoding helps in English. So ability to decode words and blend them together it helps to be able to call sounds out easily in English language. Some words are just sight words that you just have to call out that way, but a lot of these words are words that can be decoded, so that's why a knowledge of phonics is very important. So the letter and the sound identification, very important. Now, if you have a child who has such issue, one of the very easy things to do is to employ the multisensory way of teaching, where you use the kinesthetic, the tactile, auditory, and the sorry, I need to write this down. My brain, TKAC. So you use the tactile, the kinesthetic, the auditory, and the visual. So, and you always, some people are just tactile learners, some are auditory learners, like we know in learning. But most times when you use a combination of one or all or two or more of that, it gives you better understanding, and it's easier for the child to know what it is that they are learning. And it's different from saying letter A, capital letter A, and small letter A. That's totally different. It's knowing the sound. In Nigeria, I find that a lot of schools use Jolly Phonics a lot, which is good. There are other reading resources that can be used, but Jolly Phonics is quite good because it shows the kinesthetic. It shows So the, like for ants on my hands, ant. So for example, if I say A and the child is watching me and I'm saying the child is seeing me use my my body moving, or the but the child is saying that, and then it helps to reinforce. Absolutely, thank you, Dana. It helps to reinforce the sound and the letters. So I say something like, so for example, if I'm going to call the letter S, if you put your hand and call S, you see that the lower part, there's air coming out somewhere there. Like if you also call, you can also feel that. So all of this help the child to understand that this letter and this sign, it reinforces that, and then the child is able to now generalize or understand what is going on. Because what happens is that, because the way the brain works, we are also fortunate that we are able to do this thing without thinking about it. A lot of neurons and everything is going on there, and we're just speaking easily. But most times these children do not know the strategy to apply to be able to remember these words. So some of these things that we're doing, the multisensory way of teaching, usually help these children. So it's not enough to just show letter A. Sometimes you even write it behind the child's back, and then you sound it. Sometimes you use the sandpaper. I'm sure we're all familiar with most of those things. Sandpaper, the noodles to be able to form it, Play-Dohs and all of those things will help to reinforce, so the child can feel it, the child can hear it, the child can listen to it, the child can watch it. All of those joined together will be able to Autism Mama said, "I wish I had teachers like you when I was in school. The amount of flogging and verbal abuse was." I understand that. I always wish to that act could have made me much. I mean, learning would have been much more fun for me. But thank God we know this now, and then we can help our children, and we can talk to the teachers, and also, make the world a better place and make learning a better place for the children. So that's for phonic awareness. So if the child is able to use all of those, you find out that is one step in the right direction. Now, when we now go to the area of phonemic awareness, so it means that the child is aware of the sound and is able to manipulate the sound. So some kids, they say spell cat, and then the child says cat, and then the next minute you're asking spell cat. That child just heard you say spell cat, and you said CAT, is able to say it, but the next time he's able to use it, he doesn't understand the strategy to use to be able to write the word cat. So it's always good for us to understand but please, very true, not very true. I hope you are not having to do with dyslexia. So very true. Sometimes a child may be able to say cat, when you say, as a teacher, you sit the child down, you're talking about spelling, and we call it dictation. You want the child to spell words, and then you say cat, and then you're like CAT, cat, and then the child says CAT, and then you're like, everybody close up your book and let's spell cat without looking, close your eye and let's spell cat. And the child is lost. What happens is that because of what it is, what dyslexia is, the child does not have a strategy to be able to call back those words. That's where phonemic awareness comes in, where the child needs to understand that letters have sounds. Like I said in phonics, letters have sounds, and this sound, so the consonant and the vowel sound, we all know our consonant sounds. Every other letter apart from A, E, I, O, U. Vowel and consonants give us words. Consonant, vowel, consonants give us words. So that's a three-letter word. So the letter cat, C-A-T, we have a consonant, a vowel, which is A, and a consonant, again, which gives us T. So C-A-T, we give you cat. Now, for a child who is struggling with that, there's several things that could be done to help that child. You have to do something like, we call it, so it's like a manipulation of letters. So for example, if I put CAT, I would have first taught the phonemic or oh my God, you guys are just so sweet. I was not expecting you all online, and I'm seeing a lot of responses. Thank you so much, Nala. She said we need Madam Omola to give us some communication competence lessons. Well, we'll get to that. So let's talk about dyslexia right now. That's the way we would get to it one of these days. So dyslexia right now, we are on the phonological, the phonemic awareness, where the child may not be able to spell the word cat, and not because the child is not able to, but the child doesn't understand the manipulation going on around there. So things has to also move for the child, just like the way we use the multisensory teaching for the child to understand the sound and the letter identification. Almost the same thing will be done, but the child needs to understand that there are consonants and there are vowels. Consonants and vowels will give us words. Consonant, vowel, and consonants will give us words. Two-syllable words, three-syllable words form into sentences and all of that. So right now we are in the word formation. Simple consonants and vowel, or consonants, vowel, and consonants. So if I wanted to do an exercise with a child who is struggling with words, three-letter words, two-letter words, what I would do is I'll let the child be able to first, so the child might first be able to delete in the initial letter, substitute first. So for example, if I say cat, C-A-T is cat. But so I want to talk about three things in this matter now. So I said cat, I need to write this down. My brain is getting cat. Yeah. So the first letter will be C. The middle letter will be A, and the final letter will be T for the word cat. If I was, like I said, if I had a child who's struggling with such area when it comes to dyslexia, the phonological awareness, what I'm going to do is I'll have lots of words that has the middle sound A and the final sound T, and let the child understand that any letter can be moved to form words. So I have CAT. What is the child hearing? K-A-T. When you blend it, it gives you cat. Once the child understands that each sound, each letter is a sound from phonemic awareness, it will be easy. No, from phonics. So from phonics, he knows that A is A, B is B, C is K, and all of that. So he knows the graphemes and he knows the phonemes. Now we're trying to put those into words together. So I'm giving a little word like cat as an example. So C will give me K, A will give me A, and T will give me T. That is cat. And the child is wondering, how do you know it so well? I'm having a lot of trouble understanding why it's cat, The first time we're going to have a lot of exercise, a lot of games, so that the child will understand that things can be moved, letters can be moved, and also give us words, be it regular words or nonsense words. So I'm going to do like a game with that child and probably take away the C and replace it with the B. And then I'm going to remind the child again, remember, is a sound here. So cat gives me, together with blending, it gives me cat. Then for replacing the C with a B, that will be B-A-T, and that is bat. The kid is beginning to get it. Oh, really? There are two sounds in the word cat. So he knows in the brain that if I need to spell the word cat, I must always find three letters and three sounds. So if, for example, people say some children cram, you want to know what's going on in the child's mind. So when I say cat, what sounds can you hear? K, A, T. Those are the sounds. If I was going to make the child write it, it's not the sound it's going to write, it's going to write the letters. So that's why when we're working with children with special needs or children with dyslexia, it's always good at the same time to teach the letter and the sound. Because for our kind of children, when you teach the sound, the letter first, out school, most of the time the sound that goes first, the letter comes naturally. But for our children, because most of the time we don't realize that they are living with some of these disabilities, particularly dyslexia, it's maybe too late. So by the time you've taught the sound in maybe for year one, or maybe elementary, preschool, maybe second year or the third year, our kids, the way the brain works, they don't wait till that time to be able to merge it together. It doesn't come to them naturally. So by the time you are realizing that, and you realize that in a child, maybe a 4 or 5 year old, make sure you always put the sound and the letter together. So the child knows that letter C will give me K, letter B will give me B. So most time when I work with this children, I say, what letter is it? Letter A. What sound does it give? What letter is it? Letter B. What sound does it give? B. So that the child knows from the onset, is learning to learn. Unlike other kids who will just pick it up naturally. They know that A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then they've already learned the sound R and all of that, and they're able to put it all together to make sense to them. Most of our kids don't have that, and then you have to teach it deliberately. So go back to the letter CAT. And I'm manipulating. Then I take the C away, I bring in B, it gives me bat. If I take the B away and bring F, it gives fat. If I take F again and bring in P, it brings pat. I keep manipulating. The child keep moving. All of those movements, the child is beginning to get aware that, okay, words are formed with letters and sound. So then what I always do for those kind of children is that, apart from the manipulation we're doing, I make them cover what we've done, and then I make them spell it, write it down. So for example, when I've manipulated cat, for example, and I change I give you cat. I'm like, so what sound did you hear? You say T, and then is C. You put down your C. You put down your A. T, you put down your T. That's cat. For bat, and then like that. So each time the child reads, he must write. It goes hand in. You don't wait till after a while to say, oh no, you will get it. You need to always sensitize that and make sure everything goes hand in hand. So that's for that. You could also do things like removing the middle words, the middle letters. So we have cat, you can say to say, want to do, even if it's a nonsense word, we put E, for example. So we can say cat. We can say fet. We can say bet. We can say jet. We keep changing. So we keep changing the middle sound like that. I don't know if you get what I'm trying to say, because there's a lot to learn, but I'm just trying to make it as easy as possible. So we can also move the middle sound away and make it O. So we have boats, we have pot, and all of that. But for every word, it's always important for the child to spell also. So the child knows that there's letter and there's sound. And the child can also, if the child is saying the word pot, it can go back, close his eye, and spell. Even the child cannot spell cannot write yet. They can move the letters. We have those letter cards, little what do you call that now? Resources, manipulatives, that the children can move to spell those things. Even with children that cannot write yet, so they understand that there are letters and there's sound. And that's for phonological awareness. You can even use it for the last word, which is like the T, like in cat, the T, take away the T and put in a P. You take away the P and put in a K. You put away the K and all of that. And the child is saying that, oh, letters can actually move. Different letters can move to give you different words. And the words might have meanings, and they may not have meaning. It depends on what you are looking to get with the child. And then the next thing would now be vocabulary. And within that, for phonological awareness, there's a lot going on in there, because sometimes you have 2-syllable words, you have 3-syllable words, you have where you have the silent E come in, and a lot of that. Before you know it, the kids are able to spell, because now they understand how letters can be manipulated. They understand the fact that when CAT gives you cat, then the E, when you have an E, it becomes silent and becomes a long vowel, and like that. But you have to take it step by step with the children so that they can understand how letters form to give us words. So that's for the phonological awareness. Now for vocabulary, we have different things that can be done with that: root word, prefix, suffix. There's some words that are not the French words, the German words. I mean, different kind of the origin of the words. But for that, one can actually take it easy with the children, because the whole essence for our kids is that when they get to the area of comprehension, it's tougher. Even when so it's like a step-by-step thing. But the good thing, why I say to people that, in as much as special needs might look like it's a lot of work, we can work smart. Thank God for technology. These days I've been like, I'm super glad for technology. It makes the work easy. All you have to do is to just look for different games and different apps that could help the children be able to manipulate the words and the meanings, So the more words they see, the more the meaning, the more. Someone was saying to me yesterday, like, oh, I was trying to teach a child past tense. That's when all of those come in, doing vocabulary, the present, the past tense, the root word, and all of those. And she was like, oh, I was trying to explain to the child. She was trying to use the silent E to teach come. And I'm like, you don't do that. These are words that you need to understand. Come is so come. The past tense of come is came and all of that. So different drills. So those ones you have to do like drills, and then the usage of the words, it becomes more and more real to the child. So if you use the word came, you in different instances, let the child experience what it means and all of that. And but you need to teach it step by step. You need to teach it using it in particular instances and not just in isolation. It doesn't work for children with dyslexia. Now, if you want to so we talk about phonics, we talk about phonological awareness, we talk about vocabulary. So a lot of resources out there, but you need to take it bit by bit. You need to help the children understand it in isolation, in words and all of that. Then we move to fluency, because there's no way a child will read fluently without having good knowledge of phonics, phonological awareness, and vocabulary. Yes, simply put, fluency is ability to read without effortlessly and without stress. And when that is in place, comprehension is easier. Yes, so a lot of tools are out there also for a child to read along. The one I like mostly is the child chorus reading, or the child reading along, so it comes easily to the child and he reads it. And then after a while, just almost like what we do in ABA, where you put your prompting and you withdraw your prompts, and then you just keeping record and district child teaching bit by bit. And then it's okay, this child has read along for so long, I need to pull out the reading along and see if he can try to read it. And the truth is that it's not all the time that these kids get over it so quickly. Some kids, all of these, they might not even get over what they're going through, and that's where assistive technology comes in. And also I'll dive into accommodation and accommodation for these children also, because I've heard some children living with dyslexia in developed countries seeing what they're going through, that sometimes they get so tense when you need to pull them out for some of this exercise and all of that, and we don't see a lot of improvement. So to say this is like a teenager or an adult in the early years talking about what she went through and how she hated being taught all of those things. So, but the truth is, and as much as we want them to embrace inclusion, it's also always good for us to understand what they're going through and let them show us what they would want them to do. Because the truth is that whether we like it or not, we have a lot of good people who have done well for themselves. So for example, we have Whoopi Goldberg. Yeah, Goldberg. We have this guy, what's his name again? I keep forgetting the name. The owner of Virgin Airline. We have a lot of people in Nigeria who are dyslexic and they have done so well for themselves. It's just good for us to understand their strength, which we keep talking about. So let's go back to comprehension. Now, comprehension, depending on the level of the child, there are several strategies that can be used also for these children to understand. Sometimes you can, first of all, teach the difficult words to the child, then sentence by sentence, you make the child begin to understand what it is. Sometimes you just highlight what it is you want the child to know. Sometimes you use graphic organizers to pull out the right word, the consequence, what happens first, Richard Branson is the word. What happens first is the person that I was trying to talk about for Virgin Atlantic. So we get to where we've done all that we can professionally and we're not seeing much of a result in what you're doing. It doesn't matter whether the child gets an A or not. As long as the child has something to offer, then let's find the child's strength, and the child can actually do well in whatever they find to be interesting or that interests them. So for comprehension, graphic organizers are good ways to help these children. Highlighting the words, sequencing what happens first, what happens second, what happens third. Having them draw what they understand could also, help them express what they know when it comes to area of comprehension. Not giving too many lengthy comprehension will also help them, and that's where accommodation comes in. So once you've done some of the ideas I've shared under phonics, phonological awareness, vocabulary, reading fluency, and also in comprehension, then you can say that of a truth, I've done everything I know to do. You've sought advice from professionals as a classroom teacher, as a parent. Then you could think, you know what, it's okay to be different. What else can we do? Does this child need extra time? Does this child need a scribe? Does this child need to listen to the comprehension? Does this child needs it to be read to him? Does this child needs to type? Does this child needs to spelling checkers? And it is not cheating, really. People say, oh, it's not, because I always say to people, if only there can be an exchange where you be in that person's shoes, take the person's brain and be yours. That's when you understand what these individuals are going through. And the truth is that in developed countries, they've come to understand this, and they're using the children that the child Brazil will not be who he is if they are insisted that he must pass literacy, or if dyslexia had held him back, it won't be who he is. Who we go back will not be who he is. It's another. I know of a few Nigerian actors who have come out to say, look, I'm dyslexic. I met one guy the other day who he was very good with technology, VR and all of that, from the training we had in Lagos, Port Harcourt, and Abuja. And this guy is dyslexic, but he was so good with the technology. So if we keep it, they must read the same way, they must answer questions the same way, oh, they must get this word permanent before we can move on. We're not doing them any favor. Do all you can, seek all the professional advice. Then when you get to a point, a threshold where you feel this is the best this child can get to, find this child's strength. Find whatever the child can do and move that child towards what would help the child to succeed. So we have a lot of people who have done so well for themselves, despite the fact that they're living with dyslexia. So what causes the headache? And that goes back to the topic for today, that help, these letters are jumping around in my head and giving me a headache, is that we place too much stress on these children. We place too much expectation, knowing that this is how they're meant to function, but we just keep pushing and pushing beyond what they can do. And then you find that sometimes people have said to me that these children like to talk off point because they want you to just forget about pressuring them right now. You're not understanding what they're going through. You're not finding a way to empathize with them and see the best way to help them spell. So some children will need to repeat classes. Some children will be beaten. Some people will be placed under, will be punished. That doesn't help them. If only we can understand that it's step by step, and understanding the use of multisensory, use of accommodation, and all of that will help these children. Then let's find their strength, find what they are good at, and channel them towards that. We cannot afford to assess them or based on every other child. Find what they're good at, and then move them towards that. Some of them are good MCs, some of them are good actors. Move them, channel that strength towards that. I always say to people that it's not about what these kids want to be. So when you say, what do you want to be? I want to be an engineer. I want to be a doctor. The best question to ask is, what problem do you want to solve? So if a child who is dyslexic wants to be a pilot, wants to be a pilot, or wants to be able to build planes, why are we now stressing that child on things that are not relevant to what will be helpful to that child? I understand that we have a fundamental issue in Nigeria with our curriculum, but then the future is here. When we look at these children in the next 10, 15, 20 years, would we see that what we're putting on their table right now for them to learn will be beneficial to them? Would they be competitive? Would they be world-class competitors? Because I know that there are lots of schools in developed countries where they don't have to write the way we make these children write. We just have to find their strength and help them. So I hope I've made some good sense this afternoon. I need to get out of here real quick, but then I'm open to questions. If you have questions for me, please let me know. I won't be able to stay too long. I think I've done over 30 minutes right now. But the plan was just to make sure that I have something put out there. Yes, it's been 38 minutes out there, and ensure that I don't just let today go without putting word out there about dyslexia and how to help this individual live with dyslexia. They have strength. Let's do for that strength. I could say this is what I can't categorically say these are the strengths of individual living with dyslexia. You have to find that child, because the strength in a particular child may not be the strength in another child. So finding the strength in that child, I haven't done all that you can do as a professional. What does this child really like to do? And how can I make this child feel that he's successful in what he or she is doing? And then to the next level. So that is all I have for you today on finding help with special needs. Thank you all, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Once again, don't forget to get your copy of Finding Help with Special Needs. Yes, for those of you in the UK, I hope to see you next month. Like I said, I'll be in the UK for a while. I'll be attending a few trainings for my own professional development. I'll have some of these copies of this book with me so that you can have it. It's going to go on Amazon very soon, so you can pick it from any part of the world. But if you're in Nigeria and you need to get it, please visit my page, Lola Aneke, on Facebook, or at Lola Aneke, and you'll find information on where to get these books in Nigeria. Or better to call the number 0809 1273666. Again, the number to call is 0809 1273666 to get your copy of Finding Up with, sorry, to get your copy of Special Needs Made Easy. Now, I have another book coming up, which is Mastering Autism. I announced it last week, and I'm super excited. You know, I've had my experience in the US, I've had a few experiences in the UK, and I have a lot of experience in Nigeria. And what I did with that book was to explain autism from the eye of me being in those three places and what I've experienced in Nigeria. So, like an African perspective of what autism is, and it's an ultimate guide for educators, parents, and anyone that has a child with autism from an educator's point of view, and what you can do to help that child living with autism. So I look forward to it will be launched on my birthday, which is the 28th of September. And like I said last week, the best gift you can give to me is to order this book and give it to individuals living with autism. Give it to anybody, because we are advocating to make the world an inclusive place. So what better way to do this than to acquire knowledge regarding autism and how best to provide support for individuals living with autism. So please look out for the book. I keep talking about it. Look out for Special Needs Made Easy. Follow me on at Lola Aneke. Follow C Academy NG. Follow Judrop CC also. And more information we put out there regarding every issue of special needs. Send me email, lolaneke@gmail.com, should you have any questions for me. Thank you all for joining in again today. I love you all. Thank you, everyone on Facebook. Thank you, Reward. Thank you, Mommy. Thank you, Elizabeth. Olawale Dada. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. I'll respond to you once I get a minute to. Thank you, and have a blessed week. I remain yours truly, Lola Aneke, on Finding Help with Special Needs. Thank you, guys. Actually, this video will be uploaded on my YouTube channel, so you can always replay and rewatch it. I know I ran through the topic really fast. If you have questions for me, please reach out to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Thank you so much. Have a blessed week. Bye.